What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Brand podcast. And today I'm feeling a little fiery and, well, in a good way, but I do need to address something because this isn't the first time that we have had people ask these types of questions around Etsy ads. Uh, a lot of people think, and you know what? People are just starting. They don't understand marketing. They might not even understand a lot about business because it's their first business that they're starting. So I think just a lot of people aren't aware of how you have to look at spending money on your business because that's basically what you're doing with Etsy ads. But this all came because, well, I posted something in the Everbee group, which if you guys are not part of Everbee, I would definitely recommend that group. It's a good group. Our group is good too, Rock Your Brand, but it's another great resource. But I generally will post something in there every now and then when I have something to share. And I shared some numbers for a 30-day window on our Etsy ads. And to me, they did pretty good. All right. And I'll give you guys the numbers here in a second and we'll kind of dig into these. But what happened is I had a comment come in that was more or less saying, I don't really think these are that good. And then I went on to explain to this commenter that they're actually good and here's why they're good. And what I want to do here is I want to really just bring light to what it really looks like to run Etsy ads, but then what is the sole purpose of running Etsy ads? And you might say, Scott, making sales so I can make money. And that's where you might be wrong. So we're going to talk about that. And Chris, before we do, I know that this is going to probably turn into a few different rants in a good way. We're not going to go too crazy. But I know that you deal with this a lot yourself, just with explaining Etsy ads or just explaining ads in general. And there's a lot of misconceptions. Before we get into it, what do you think, if we can just kind of throw it out there, like what is one thing right now that you think that people are missing the mark on when it comes to Etsy ads?
One thing, because I know, like you said, we're going to go into a bunch of rants. I think the biggest thing for me is understanding the initial purpose. The sales are great. The data is where it's at, right? And I think if we can come at it with that mindset, even if we can never get ads to work for our product, which in most cases we can, at least to some extent. Maybe it's not going to be a 20-to-1 return on ad spend, but it's going to be working well enough that there's no reason for us to turn it off. But I think the biggest thing that most people miss when it comes to Etsy ads is they really need to understand the initial purpose behind running the Etsy ads. And that is shortcutting the search algorithm. Yes, Etsy's giving sellers more and more data when it comes to organic keywords and how people are searching for things. But to get that data, you have to show up, which can take 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And yes, Etsy's making all kinds of changes to the algorithm to try to get new sellers and new listings shown even more, even for the most competitive search results. But you still have to wait. If we turn on Etsy ads, we can have data as soon as now, or also now, right? Depending on when we turn them on. And so it can take maybe a day or two to start having enough data to make a decision. But last time I checked, and Scott, check my math on this, now or 2 days from now is shorter than 3 to 6 months. Am I missing something really obvious there?
No, you're not. A lot of times, like I said, people are looking for the instant gratification of a sale and they want to do it organically, but they don't realize that organically takes time. It also takes sales. And I know a lot of times people are like, yeah, but I want to wait until I turn on ads until I get sales. It's the opposite, because what we want to do is we want to turn on ads so we can start to get exposure, right? Now, guys, if you are brand new here and you're thinking to yourself, like, I haven't even ran ads yet. Like, I don't even know the first thing about running ads, and I'm not sure if I should run ads. First off, I'll tell you, if you're launching right now, we're in Q4. Even if you're not in Q4, I would run ads. Okay. And running the ads, now again, we want to pick products that have a higher demand. We want to make sure that these products are going to lead to other things. We're going to talk about that. But if you guys want our guide, we have an Etsy ads guide that we put together that we've been using now for the last 2 years. in the comments, just put ads. Just type in ads and we'll send you a copy of that guide. Okay. And it breaks down our strategy as far as how we start the ads, but then how we set our initial budget, then what you do after 7 days, like all of that stuff, it's included. Just put ads in the comments and we'll send you a copy. But let me just go ahead and pull this up here, Chris, because this is what I shared. Okay. And this is the dashboard that you're seeing inside of your manager, okay, of your account. You go into marketing, you go into Etsy ads, and then this will pull up. And this was for a 30-day window. So I pulled this for a 30-day period, August 28th to September 27th. All right. Now, on the right there in red, that's what we spent, $889.22. Okay. We brought in $2,957.33. Now, people would look at that. Some people would look at that and go, wow, that's amazing. And some people would look at that and go, I don't know if that's good because I'm only making $5 on my product. Mistake number one, don't advertise to products that you're only making $5 on. Or if you are, you better have some products in the back catalog that people can buy more of. Okay. And build an email list and all that stuff. We're going to talk about that. Right. But this here on the surface, to me, I'm happy. Okay. And I'll go through a whole laundry list of reasons why I'm happy. Okay. But if you look at that too, the revenue increased 372% compared to the previous period. And one of the reasons is because I dialed up the budget. Okay. I went from $20 to $25 to $30 to $35. Okay. And I'm doing that just to kind of keep playing with it to see how far can I push it. Okay. Right now it's doing well. It's spending pretty much the budget every single day. Okay. And I just looked, I think it was yesterday. I think we spent we didn't spend our full one yesterday. I think it was $14. I actually have a screenshot of it. I'll share it here in a minute. I think we spent like $14 and brought in like $250. So you're going to have days like that too. You're going to have days that you spend $15 and you're going to bring in 0 sales. It's the offset. Okay. But I want to share here in a second. And Chris, I know that you'll probably want to chime in here because there's some data here that we gotta look at. But for a lot of people, this here, $889 is a lot of money. And, $2,900 is a lot of money, but you're also paying for, the fees, you're paying for your product and all of that stuff. So what are your margins? Our margins typically are going to be 35 to 45%. And I've got some numbers broken down here so I can share with you like how we did. But the crazy thing is this isn't all that happened like from this. This is just what happened from the ads. What else happened? I'll share that here with you in a second. There's some other really cool things that happened that allowed us to make even more sales. All right. So I'm going to leave it at that. Chris, I know you're chomping at the bit there a little bit. What do you got for me?
I want to play the skeptic here for you for just a minute, because we're looking at the surface level data, Scott. Mm-hmm. So we see the revenue increase, and that's what has everybody all excited, right? So revenue's up 372% versus the previous period, which is going to be a slower period during the year.
Yep.
Did we spend 372% more as well?
No, we did not. We did not.
And so that I think is the second mistake that we see people make with Etsy ads. The first is not understanding the initial purpose, like we were just talking about. Yep. Not understanding that even if it's not something we end up running for long term, which in most cases we will, because we're going to make a substantial amount of revenue doing it once we get through the ads running process. But also that this data is going to change over time, right? So is that spend about the same, about $30 a day, give or take?
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna do this real quick, Chris, while you're in there.
I got Scott on the fly.
You do. So this is from yesterday. So we wanted to spend 35, we only spent 31. But I'll take it. Right? But no, to answer your question, every day we are not spending the budget, but we're coming close.
So we have a $35 budget. So in July, were we spending about that same amount of money?
No,
as we were in that August through September.
No,
period?
Because we increased it slowly to get to when we're in Q4.
So the better comparison for the skeptic here would be, let's look at how much we spent. Let's look at how much revenue we brought in. And that's the bigger difference for us. We don't necessarily have to do that on the fly, because that illustrates the exact point I was trying to make anyway, which is, look, this is going to change every time we look at it. Most people like to look at this on a daily basis, which is not something we would recommend, other than maybe the first like day or two that you turn it on, to make sure that you're not spending on a flibbity gibbet when you're selling a dancing avocado mug.
Right.
Right. But beyond that, if you're looking at this, even in a 30-day window, the data can be deceptive until you drill in to the individual listings, and it will increase over time, right? Your ads will get better over time as long as you're going through this process. So if you're looking at this and it's the first 30-day window, one, we always want to dive in and look at what we're spending on that we shouldn't be spending on, or look to see if we have a conversion rate problem. By the way, if you guys need a little bit of help on the conversion rate side, Scott and I sat down, we analyzed a whole bunch of the top converting listings on Etsy. There is a little bit of a cost associated with that walkthrough, with that guide. It's a couple bucks though, I think. And if you drop conversions in the comments down below, we'll send that over to you so that you can look at what the top listings are doing and compare what your listing is versus what the top listings are doing, the ones that have converted the most over time, to sell more. Because at the end of the day, what this comes down to, Scott, is sales and conversions, right?
Yep.
Etsy ads are a great way of getting traffic in. But if we're missing the conversion side of this, we're missing a huge portion of the equation.
Yeah.
All that to say, if we're looking at this and we're not doing the listing analysis, it's also very easy to get bogged down and say, hey, my revenue didn't go up or it didn't increase 372%. My spend stayed about the same.
Yep.
Etsy ads don't work. Etsy ads work. Either your keywords don't work or your listings don't work, right? Yep. You will see this change over time. So we have logged in and had heart attacks looking at these reports because revenue has gone down or revenue has stayed flat or our return on ad spend went down.
Yep.
And you log in 2 weeks later and it's way up. Why? Because you make a few tweaks and you go along with the flow. So the second big mistake, Scott, would be looking at this and assuming that this snapshot is reality and it's how it will always be. That's not the case. It will change with the seasons. It will change with you looking at the data and analyzing the data. And it will change with you implementing the things that you need to do based on the data that you get back.
Yeah. What I want to say here though is, and so that's like, okay, we looked at the ad, or the ads manager, and we're looking at that and we're like, okay, cool. And then I'm going to read the comment that came back when I posted this. Okay. And it's very common when I hear this, because when people are running ads, they're looking at just the ads. They're like, okay, I spent $1 and I didn't make my dollar back, or I made 80 cents back and I lost 20 cents, or I made $1.20. Okay, cool. Right. So, and what I mean by that is for every dollar you put in, you're getting 20 cents back or an extra dollar or whatever. Right. So everyone's looking at that as a comparison. And one of the reasons why people are doing that is because they got nothing else for anybody to buy. We just did this last week, a new feature that was rolled out by Etsy. Okay. And what it is if you go to a listing now and you have other products, you can create a bundle that will recommend these other products. So now think about this. If you have someone come in for your sweatshirt and then they're in there and they see the sweatshirt, but then they also see a garden flag or a pillow or a blanket, and they're like, oh, that goes well with that because you've selected it too. And now they go from buying just the sweatshirt to buying the sweatshirt and the blanket. And now their order went from $50 to $100. You see, that's how we have to think about this. But the problem is a lot of people don't have that. And actually, I've got a rant I'm going to go on later about an Etsy guru out there who's running ads that is making people think that you only need one product and you can make $1 million. I'm going to go into that. You can't, by the way. So, if you're here, I'm glad you're here because hopefully I can help you and Chris can help you to just open your eyes to what this is really doing. Like what we're doing here, guys. Chris and I have been building e-commerce businesses for years. Okay. And we're just taking our skill set from what we've done over here and bringing it to the Etsy world. A lot of the Etsy gurus, they have never built e-commerce businesses. They've just went out of COVID and then basically, Chris, am I allowed to say that anymore? COVID on here? Will we get like flagged or anything?
They might throw a misinformation flag underneath
the pandemic. So
that thing that happened in the year that everyone forgot. Yes. Yeah.
The thing that happened when sales skyrocketed for online businesses and people were sitting at home, that one. So, and then what happened was people had the success and then they become a guru. That's not us. Okay. And I'm going to actually share with you, like, our numbers this year are down a little bit, but I'm going to be honest with you and tell you, we're going to try to fix that. And I'm going to share with you how we're going to fix that. Right. Like and I said this openly recently. I said, my goal isn't for my wife's Etsy shop to sell a whole bunch more. It's for her to do less and make the same and maybe a little more. Right. That's how we're scaling that. If she can still generate $100,000 in revenue and do less work, I'm good. I'm good with that. Like that's what we're looking at. But right now, and again, I'm not going to sugarcoat things. And we did a poll, Chris, and I'll actually pull up the numbers here afterwards. I think we had over 400 people that took that in the community tab of our YouTube channel. And I asked them, were your sales up or down for September? And I think at that time that I looked at it, it was like 60 or 65% of people said they're down. So in the comments, let us know, are your sales up or down right now? Okay. Ours are down about 20% from what they were last year. Okay. And, now is our profit more? I think so, because we've raised our prices. And my wife and I had a conversation yesterday and we're like, we're just going to actually raise our prices a little bit. And if we do less, that's fine, but we're going to make the same. Like, why do the extra work, especially if things are changing, whether it's the algorithm or whether it's the ads or whatever. If you can have less sales, but yet still make more money, who wouldn't want that, right? Like, yes, we all want more sales, but there's ways around that. And actually, we were able to generate some more sales through email, which we'll talk about. All right. Now, with that all being said, the main thing that I want people to understand, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up my notes here so I can kind of give you guys everything. The first thing I wanted to address is the bigger picture. Okay. The bigger picture is it's more than just the ad money that you're bringing in. Okay. Yes, if you have a brand new product, it's great to get that exposure. If we get the sales, even if we do not make any money on those initial sales, there's a huge benefit to that. The benefit is you're going to be able to now start to rank in search. Okay. Because you're getting sales. And if your competition is launching products and they don't have any sales, you're going to outrank them. Okay. And then the second thing is you're going to start getting reviews in on those products. What's that going to do? It's going to increase your conversions. And again, we go into all of these conversion areas inside of our new conversion maximizer playbook. If you want a copy of that, just put conversions in the comments. It is, we have a small fee. It's $10. If you want a copy of it, just put conversions in the comments and we'll send you the link. And you can go over and grab a copy. All right. Because when you can convert higher, okay, then that's going to make a big difference if you're running ads. If you have 100 people that click, you're paying for those clicks on ads. Okay. You're paying for them. If you get 1% conversion, that's one sale. If you get 2%, now you're at 2 sales. If you get 3%, now you're at 3 sales. That can make all the difference, but that's just ads. Okay. So now what did we gain from that? Okay. So we generated $2,957.33 from the ads. We also, for that same time period, we generated $1,250 from email. Okay. So why is that important? Because some of those people that purchased through the Etsy ads became someone that we can now email. Not all of them. Okay. And we've talked about this before. Like, how do you get someone on your email list and staying within the terms of service? It's very simple. We give people an invitation inside of the email that they get when they've purchased. And that email or that messaging comes through your Etsy account. You set up that one message. It's a generic message that says, hey, thank you so much for your order and supporting us, a small business like ours. We really appreciate you. We're going to be working on your order and getting it shipped as soon as possible. While I got you, I'd love to invite you to our woodworking VIP club. If you go here, you can sign up and you'll get special discounts, launch discounts, giveaways that we do, and all of that stuff. And you'll be part of the VIP club. Go here. And then we set that up in Everbee email. If you're not using Everbee, here's my little shameless plug for them. All right. Go to brandcreators.com/Everbee, get signed up, start using email. And start building those or build a page so you can collect that email. And Chris, if you can throw that up on the bottom of the screen so people can see that link there. So the email is really, really a big deal, right? Because we were able to, like I said, generate $1,250 extra, okay? Because we've had some of those people that came from ads. So do you see? If we have ads and we know that we're running ads, we're getting a customer, and now we have that customer that potentially could come back and buy more, because another thing that sellers aren't doing is they're not creating more opportunities for people to buy more, right? That's why we've done that here on this channel. You got to create more products that one customer can buy. You have to. Okay. And now with them bundle, us being able to share like that bundle feature that they're giving us where you can add up to 2 products. It's like cross-selling inside of that listing. We drive people over there and they have a chance to buy. Now, if they buy more, we go up as far as being profitable on the ads, but then we also have an opportunity to get them to jump on our email list, and then we get to follow up with those people. Okay. So it took me less than 10 minutes to craft the emails that I sent out to those people. Okay. $1,250 because I used the share and save link, by the way. And I also saved I think it was around 45 or 50 bucks on fees because I drove the traffic. Okay. I drove the traffic. All right. Now, the other thing here that a lot of people don't talk about, actually, you know what? Before I do, let me time out here real quick. I just talked about email. And some of you are like, yeah, but Scott, I don't even know the first thing about email. We've got a free resource for you there. If you want that, just put email in the comments and we'll send you a copy of that. It's our playbook. It's our email marketing playbook. And it goes through how we build a list off of Etsy, not just internally, how we're doing that, but then also how we're sending certain types of emails, how we build a relationship with our customers, all of that stuff. If you want a copy of that, just put email in the comments and we'll send you a copy of that. I didn't want to glaze over that because I know some people are going to be like, well, I don't know anything about email. We've got you covered there. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about here, and a lot of people don't talk about this because they don't understand it, and that's okay. That's why I'm here, and that's why Chris is here. We want to educate you on this. Because we were able to drive sales through ads, through our email, that also helps our organic reach. It helps us rank organically. So in that same period, it was $3,866.27 in organic sales, ones we did not pay for. Okay. So now can I directly say, because I ran those ads, it directly made sales, and because of that, it ranked me? No, I can't. I can't tell you that. But I've got a pretty good hunch that because I'm getting steady sales through these listings, Etsy is going to want to reward us and push us up. I know that if I'm getting these sales, I'm getting more reviews, which is going to bump up our conversions, which we also saw an increase in our conversion rate. It was over 30, I think it was 36 or 37%. Actually, I have that number here. Let me go ahead and share this with you real quick. Let me go back to this screen right here, and then let me share with you, I believe it was, no, it was this one here. I'm going to go ahead and share it. Okay. So that's a 37.4% compared to the same period last year. Okay. So we've increased our conversions because we've been obsessed with this conversion stuff, right? That's what we've been doing. Chris and I geek out about this stuff, right? And reviews are a small piece, but a very powerful piece that if we get more reviews, guess what? People are going to trust us and they're going to buy when they land on our listing, right? There's other factors, right? We want good images. We want good titles. We want to run a sale. We want all of these things, which again, we cover all that in that conversion playbook. If you want a copy of that, just put conversions in the comments and we'll give you the link to that. But I wanted to share this because I pulled this up and this was a surprise to me. I was like, holy crap, our numbers are down a little bit, but our conversions are up. That's a good thing. So now I'm starting to feel confident. You know what? Maybe I'm going to dial up the ads a little bit. Maybe I'm going to take it from 35 and bring it up to 45. I'll get crazy. Maybe I'll even get crazy and I'll go up to 50 bucks a day. We'll see. Right? Because I know that the conversion rate's there. Chris, you want to speak to anything there on the conversion rate? I know that you have some thoughts always on conversion rate.
Well, I think the biggest thing that people don't understand, and I ranted about this a minute ago, is that conversion rate is one of the most important things when Etsy's looking at which listing to show. We've talked at length about how their search algorithm works, and even though they've made some changes to it, the fundamentals of this are still exactly the same. Do you qualify? Do you have dancing avocado mug in your title? Yes. Cool. So do I. Then what does Etsy look at in terms of which listing is a better fit for the customer? Yes, they look at a little bit of the purchase history, some of those kinds of things. But really what they're looking at is which listing is the most likely to sell. What is the metric that represents that, Mr. Volker? I think that's called conversion rate, right? For every person I send to your listing, how many of them will buy? Versus if you send the same number of people to my listing, how many of those people will buy, right? That's conversion rate. And so if we can focus on increasing that number, our sales are going to go up across the board. And I think what a lot of people will notice, especially early on with ads, Scott, is because they haven't done the keyword pruning, they haven't gone through the ads optimization process yet, that they might actually see a downtrend in their conversion rate because they're driving a lot of traffic to those listings early on. That's not a bad thing as long as we're aware that we have some work to do on the back end, right? The initial traffic that we're getting from ads is not always going to be the most optimized because we might get some flibbity gibbet type keywords in there. Or we might get some polka dancing avocado mug keywords in there that don't necessarily correspond with what it is that we're selling. But over time, that will increase. And what we're doing when we're going through that process is honing in on only the keywords, only the traffic that converts when it comes to the listing, which will naturally increase the conversion rate on the listing itself and tell Etsy that you're extremely relevant for those keywords. Now, do they use a different algorithm for ads than for search? Obviously. Is the data the same? Pretty much, right? The only difference in the data is how many clicks you've gotten from an ad versus how many clicks you've gotten on the organic side. By doing things right on the ad side, we are able to optimize the listing a lot faster for the same traffic that would be coming on the organic side. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comments for saying this, but customers don't know the difference between clicking on an ad and clicking on an organic search result. So we shouldn't treat those two things any differently. And Scott, this is the reason I always go on that rant about, well, just because you're in the number one organic spot doesn't mean you should turn off ads, right? Same thought process. 99.9% of customers don't realize when they're clicking on an ad that it's an ad. They just know that it's a cool looking product. It looks like it matches what they're searching for on Etsy, so they click on it. If we can shortcut that process by running ads, looking at the data and starting to optimize early, then as we get the organic traffic for the same or similar keywords, our conversion rate is already higher, which means we will accelerate faster in the organic search results. Am I missing anything there, Scott?
No. I mean, again, it's something that I think people glaze over, and it's super, super important. And I think that's why we're trying to highlight it here today. And guys, like I said, it's if you're not thinking along these lines or you're not thinking big picture, it's okay, but that's why we're doing this, right? Like if you were never taught about business and how it works, I mean, if you watch Shark Tank, you can pretty much start figuring out like what drives business, right? And when you hear them talking about how are you acquiring a customer? How much are you spending to acquire a customer? When you hear that type of stuff, you're hearing it from like billionaires that are investing in companies. These are the questions they're asking. Do you think that maybe it's important that we should probably be doing this? But the problem is with most Etsy sellers, not all, but most, because they don't know any better, it's just about, I have this glass and I am going to sell it and I am going to make a profit. That is it. It's a very, very hard thing to do and make money. Okay. Especially when you have other people that are selling the same darn thing, right? You have to learn marketing. Etsy ads, and we've run, and Chris runs millions and millions of dollars of ads, okay, for other companies. Etsy ads is probably the simplest to run because they give you very little to control. Like literally, it's like on, off, and 3 dials. Like that's about all that you have access to. You can't change much. You can't really turn off much. It's really, really simple, right? And I think they do that for a reason, but it is frustrating at times because they don't, we would like more control, but they still give us enough, right? Enough to see, okay, this is working. This isn't working. Oh, this is a keyword that they're showing me for. Let me tell them I don't want to show up for that. So all of those things, but I just think it's important for you to understand that Etsy ads are not just about, they're not just about the what you made on the Etsy ad. There's so much more. Like I said, if we were not sending emails, which running ads helps us get sales, and when we get sales, we then have a chance for those people to become part of our email list. Now you're going to start to see that in your orders. When you start to look through your orders, you're going to see repeat buyer. It literally will tell you, Etsy tells you repeat buyer. And Chris, do you remember in the report that we did, there was, we asked the question, like, do you buy more than once on Etsy and to certain shops? And the answer was yes. Right? But if we don't have other products for them to buy, or if we don't have a way to reach them, how are you going to sell it to them?
Yeah, no, the vast majority of people who answered that survey were repeat customers, right? We did have some people who bought only once a year. That's not to say that they're not a repeat customer. We just asked purchase frequency in the last 12 months. And what we saw, Scott, was the more frequently they purchase on Etsy, the more likely they are to go back to the same shop again and again, or the same set of shops. Why? Because they know the experience they're going to get. They can avoid the, I'm just going to say it, shit show of the Etsy search results and get right to the thing that they're looking for. And they know that it's going to be a good quality product at a good quality price. And Scott, you sent me a screenshot of something that I want you to go on a rant about here for just a minute, about not niching down on Etsy and how terrible of an idea that is. One, that flies directly in the face of the data that Etsy buyers are telling us, because if you have just random things in the shop and you're not niched down, they can't come back to your shop again and again because they have no idea what it is that you sell or who you serve. But outside of that context, why are we so passionate about the niche side of this? And why is it so important for Etsy sellers to understand, especially through the lens of something like Etsy ads?
Yeah, well, we want to give them more opportunities to buy, but also it allows us to be able to spend more on ads. If you have watched Shark Tank at all, you'll hear them say, what is the cost to acquire a customer? And they might say $20, cost me $20 to acquire a customer. Like, okay, cool. And then what's the return, as far as like, how much are they coming back? And then they're like, oh, well, they'll usually come back 3 times a year. And you're like, okay, cool. Now you've made the money. But they're always asking, like, are you breaking even on the cost to acquire a customer? Okay. So if we don't have more products for them to be able to buy, then we can't do that. Now, Etsy even is basically saying, give your buyers more to buy, because they created a bundle feature. And they did that because they want to help you increase the order size, right? If you're running ads and you're spending $3 to get a sale, and you sell a t-shirt, okay, that you're not going to make as much on the profit, right? You might not make anything, right? But if you had a sweatshirt that could be purchased as well, or a blanket, or a yard flag, a flag, whatever, a puzzle, like whatever else that it would make sense. Well, now you went from a $20 or $25 sale to maybe a $75 or $100 sale. Okay. And now here's the cool thing. Let's say that you don't sell through that channel at that time. Okay, that's fine. But now we also have a message that goes out to them that thanks them and says, hey, we've got a VIP club. And then they say, cool. And then they join. And then you can follow up with them yourself. And Etsy wants you to. Anybody that's sitting here going like, Scott, no, Etsy does not want you to do that. No, they do. They just want you to get permission. And they actually created a share and save feature for us to use so we can track the sales. That's how I know that we did 25 orders, $1,250 in sales, because I used the share and save link and we saved 45 or 50 bucks. Okay. So they're telling us that's what they want us to do. And I will go on that rant a little bit later because I want to go deep in on that rant. But the point is, if you don't figure out a niche that you can sell multiple products to, it is going to be extremely hard for you to actually make this work. And I'm just going to flat out say it because I said it in the title of this. You're probably going to fail. And you're going to have some other people are like, no, just keep riding trends. Just keep riding trends. That's all. Just keep throwing stuff up there. And you know what? You might even throw in some trademark stuff. Just, that's not what we're doing here. Like, that's not a business. Like, that's just you going and gambling, right? That's how I look at it. You're going to the casino and you're going to just try to win, right? That's not what we're doing. a customer, if we have one customer on our list that purchased from us, there's a really good chance that they liked our stuff and they're going to probably want to buy something else, but we got to give them more to buy. We have to create products that they would want to buy. My wife's doing it all the time. Like, she's like, I have to think about the customer that came last year and what I can sell them this year that they would want. Even though there's going to be new people that are going to come in the door, but that new person might see the new thing too and want to buy that. Right. So when you start building out your product line and your catalog, you're going to start seeing your orders increase in size. And that's a really good feeling. We've sent emails out and you'll get one person that buys 5 items. And we only put one link in there to go over to one product. But they ended up going there and then going to the store and then favoriting a few things. And then boom, all of a sudden they've got this bundle that they created themselves. And now you have a $150, $200 order when most people are just going to settle for the $25 order. So Chris, I think I made my point there. I think. Did I or did I not?
Yeah, I think you did. And I think that's big mistake number 3, Scott. So the first one, like we said a little while ago, is not understanding the initial reason that you and I talk so much about Etsy ads, right? Thing number 2 is not understanding why they might or might not be working. And this is, you could call this 2B, or you could make this thing number 3, which is you're just not set up for success. And I hate to break it to you, but if you can't make Etsy ads work, there's a good chance that you're going to be struggling somewhere else. And that's on the organic side, right? If you're doing things the right way from an ads perspective, it's going to work. If you're not, and you're using the spray and pray approach, you're not going in and looking at the data. You're not going in and analyzing and optimizing, which are 2 words, right? No one likes the verbs that you and I throw out because it's work that we have to do. The good news is it's easy work, right? But if we're not doing any of those things, then we can't set ourselves up for success. Right alongside of that is not having other things that people can buy. Why? If they come in on an ad and they don't have anything else that they can purchase from you, Scott, let's just say your ads are not profitable up front. Mm-hmm. And you have trimmed out all your keywords, then Etsy ads don't work, right? Wrong. Because if you have your store set up correctly, you can either use their new bundle feature and increase the number of sales that you're getting and therefore your margins and your profit all along the way, or you can have them come back again and again as a repeat customer. If all you're doing is selling 1 million different mugs, you've eliminated that as a chance and your ads have to be profitable up front. Scott, I think one of the things that most people miss on this bundle thing is this has a chance to make Etsy ads profitable for a lot of people that could not make Etsy ads work before. True. I'm looking at you, digital sellers, right? We can now immediately sell bundles of related things all in one transaction.
Yep.
Or follow up and say, hey, did you see this? Right? We have that chance now. We did not have that chance before. So if you were advertising something that was a $5 digital product and you had a 30-cent cost per click and you weren't converting well enough to make that profitable, then you just turned Etsy ads off because there wasn't a way to do it. You can't really increase the price there, and there's not necessarily something they're going to come back and buy. So we're out of luck. Now we have that ability. And I think it's something that a lot of sellers have overlooked because it is a new feature. If you struggled with ads in the past, take a look at that as a way to increase the profitability. But don't forget that you have to have a lot of other things in the shop that they can come back and buy from you again and again. So having the niche, to me, on the back end of this is something that's extremely important, because even if you're not getting that Goldilocks zone of 4-to-1 return on ad spend, right? I think the example you showed, Scott, is like 3.3, which is god awful. Actually, it's pretty good, right? It's not, it is profitable for us at that level. If we could get it up higher, then it would be more profitable, right? But even if you're not able to get it there, let's say we're break even on that front end sale. When we start getting people in on repeat purchases, guess where that customer came from? Etsy ads. Guess where they're not looking when they come back to Etsy? Etsy search. Guess how they are then finding our store? They're coming directly back through the Etsy message, or they're looking in their purchase history, clicking on the store name. How do I know that they're doing that? Because we see repeat purchases. Oh, and by the way, that's how I find the stores I purchased from in the past as well. Where did I get that weird Penn State stencil drawing for my dad for Christmas 3 years ago? It was on Etsy. You go into your purchase history, you click on the shop, you see if they have anything new that's cool. That's how a lot of buyers do this, especially on the repeat buyer side. And if we're just listing random things and they come back to that store once, they don't see something immediately that calls out to them because you're not using the niche-based approach, we lose out on that repeat purchase, which would have been a free sale for us, right? So 2 sales at $20. Yes, we broke even on the first one, but we made profit on the second, third, fourth, and fifth one. The goal obviously is not to be losing money on ads, but even if we can't make them hyper profitable, we can on the back end, right? So even if we're looking at that 30-day report, we have to keep in mind that they come back again and again, and you will start to see that if you're doing things right from a store perspective.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you're running ads right now, and if you feel as though they are successful, and if not, let us know why. I'm just curious in the comments. I think I covered everything I wanted to there to kind of get that off my chest in a good way, right? I feel like so many people, they're only looking at what the ads produced in revenue, and that is it. And there is so much more that goes with that. And it kind of reminds me of even like the power of a good review versus you saying, I don't want to give that person a refund because they're trying to scam me, or they're they're being too picky. Now I'm going to lose money on that sale. When in reality, if you just gave them that thing, said, here you go. I'll let you keep it, and I'll pay for the fees and everything. It's like $15, but I'll do that. That $15 that cost you in that item cost is going to yield you so much more from a positive review, probably in the thousands. So that's another thing that a lot of people they get hung up on, is like, I don't want to give them a refund, or if I do give them a refund, I'm not going to make any money. It's like, yeah, if it kept happening, then there's a problem with production. We'll fix that. But if it's just a problem with shipping, or maybe someone picked the wrong color, and they just weren't going to be happy with that color, then you might want to, in the beginning especially, get those reviews up, because the conversions are going to be up, and that's going to just take you so much further. If you're just joining us and you would like our conversion maximizer playbook, we just put it together. Chris and I geek out about conversion stuff all the time. And we put it into, actually, we studied 25 high converting listings, over 3%, and some of them 5-6%. And then we put it into a guide, and we broke it all down and kind of gave it a grade each one. And we learned a ton from it. It's about 80 pages. If you'd like a copy of that, just put conversions in the comments and we'll send you a link. It is $10. Okay. We are charging a little something for it. We actually paid a designer to put it all together for us. We just wanted it to be really nice. It's kind of like a magazine, but if you want to go through that, like I said, it's $10. Just put conversions in the comments and we'll send you a copy. I can't stress it enough. Conversions are big, especially if you're running ads. Because remember, if we get 100 people over there, we convert at 1%, that's one sale. We convert it 2, that's 2. We convert it 3, that's 3. You can kind of keep going there, right? So we want to keep, trying to increase that. All right. Oh, and the other thing is, if you want our ads, Etsy ads guide, that is free. Just put ads in the comments and we'll send you a copy of that. All right, Chris, I want you now, because we went on for about 44 minutes on this little rant. I want you to do your little famous Chris AI, your little translation and distilling down of all of that information that we just gave everyone. And I'm going to tee it up for you, buddy. And if you can go ahead and do that, that would be awesome. And I know that other people are going to be really, really thankful for doing that. So, or for you for doing that. So let me go ahead and tee it up for you. So when running Etsy ads, it can be really frustrating, but if you understand how they work, it can be really, really a huge game changer for you. And what I wanted to do here is, I wanted to distill down what we just went through. Chris Schaefer and we just went for 44 minutes on a live stream, and we shared exactly what you need to understand and how it really, truly works and how you can benefit from it. And what I'm going to do is have my good friend, Chris Schaefer, also my little AI engine, because he's got really, really smart brain up there. He's going to translate all of that we just covered in a very short period of time, so we can do a little recap here. So Chris, take it away, buddy.
So Scott, one question you and I get all the time, and this is really where this topic came out of, and it's not really a question, it's usually a response to us talking about how much we love Etsy ads, is Etsy ads don't work. And if you're thinking that, I'm going to tell you right now, you're wrong. And the reason that you're wrong is probably just because you don't understand what you're missing in this picture. And quite frankly, Scott, most Etsy sellers are using Etsy ads wrong. And that's why they are failing. Look, ads, like anything else, are just a traffic source. They're only as good as what we put into it, right? And I'm not talking specifically about budget here. But the first thing people need to understand with Etsy ads is the reason you and I love them, above the fact that it can help us generate sales and all of those kinds of things, is it's a shortcut way for us to understand what the algorithm is looking at. What happens when we show for a certain keyword? Do people click on it? Do they not? If they don't, and they're not clicking on the ad, they're not going to click on it when we show up there organically either, right? If they're clicking on it and they're not buying, guess what's not going to happen if we show up on the organic side? We're not going to get the sales. And so the first thing, the foundational thing I think that most Etsy sellers get wrong, Scott, about Etsy ads is that it's a great way to shortcut what the Etsy algorithm thinks about your listing and what buyers think about your listing, which is really coming closer to be one and the same thing. And so if we use that as our foundation, then any sales we get on the back end of that, any profitability we get on the back end of that is just gravy for us. And I know you recently posted a screenshot from inside our ads where we had like a 300% increase in revenue from Etsy ads over the last 30 days. And we spent a couple $100. I think it was just under $900. And we made 300 or a little over $3,000 in sales. Correct my math on that on the fly here. Just under. So it was 889. There's the numbers, and 2957 in revenue, which is a 3.3 and change. Nobody needs to get into the decimals. This isn't a math class. Return on ad spend, meaning for every dollar we spent on ads, we made $3.30. There he is, bringing in the screenshot for me, right? And so at that surface level, that actually is profitable for us. Now, the like golden benchmark, Scott, for return on ad spend is that 4-to-1 mark. We're just underneath that right now at 3.3, but we're okay with that because we are profitable here. Most businesses, if you can get a business to a 4-to-1 return on ad spend, can scale that infinitely, meaning we can light as much money on fire as we want, and we know we're going to get that back, and it's going to be profitable for us. This is the second area, I think, where people get caught up because they think Etsy ads have to be immediately profitable. I'm going to put $5 on Etsy ads, and I'm immediately going to start making sales, and that's going to be the end of it. So they run a few dollars in ads, or they run ads for a few days, and one of a few different things can happen. Either they're not getting any clicks at all, and then they throw up their hands and they say, Etsy ads don't work. No one's clicking on my ad. What was the point of that? I didn't spend any money, but they don't work. It didn't drive any traffic. Or they're getting clicks and no sales. Or they're getting clicks and a few sales here and there, but not enough to get anywhere close to that golden benchmark of that 4-to-1 return on ad spend. And instead of saying Etsy ads don't work, the better way of thinking about this is, why don't Etsy ads work for me? And there's a few different things that I wanted to run through here very quickly. The first is, if you're running Etsy ads and no one is clicking, you have a listing problem. The very first thing you need to do is not turn off Etsy ads. It's re-go through the demand evaluation process. You need to understand first, is anybody actually even looking for this? And if they are, then why aren't they clicking? If you're getting a lot of impressions and no clicks, you have an issue with your main image or potentially with your title. So focus on that area. Make those changes and then come back in a week and tell me that Etsy ads don't work, right? If we start to play around with those things, we'll go from having impressions and no clicks to impressions and clicks. That gets us one step further down the road. Once we start getting those clicks, where people say Etsy ads don't work, Scott, is they'll say, you can't get people to convert from Etsy ads. They just don't do it. Well, first of all, hate to break it to y'all, consumers don't know the difference between clicking on an ad in an Etsy search result and clicking on a standard result, which is why every time somebody asks me, hey, I'm #1 in search, should I still run ads? The answer is yeah, because you're getting more of the click share in the mind of the consumer. We as sellers know, and we actually look for ads on pages. 99.9% of people don't know the difference. So the buying behavior there isn't really any different. And remember that foundational thing I talked about a minute ago where I said, hey, if you understand that we're using this to get a better idea of how the algorithm and how consumers are looking at our listing, then that's the foundation we need to understand. This is where that really comes into play. If you're getting clicks and no sales, it means People think your listing is relevant, and when they get there, it's not relevant enough for them to convert. That doesn't mean you have an Etsy ads problem. That means you either have a relevance problem, meaning you're showing up for keywords that you probably shouldn't be showing up for, or it doesn't perfectly match the customer expectation, or you have a conversion rate problem. It's not the fault of Etsy ads that your listing doesn't sell. It's the fault of the listing, right? And if we're going through and we're making sure that the keywords are relevant, and we know that it's not a relevance issue because the keyword makes sense with the listing itself, then we have nothing more to blame than the listing itself. And that's it's really hard to blame ourselves. It's a lot easier to say it's Etsy ads' fault. They send junk traffic. It must be just my competitors eating up my click budget, which is a thing I hear all the time. It's not. People clicking on those ads are real people. They don't know the difference between the organic and the ads in the vast majority of cases. What that tells you is not that ads don't work, because the ads' job is just to get you the traffic. It's that your listing is not working. So if you're not getting anybody to buy, we need to double check those keywords, make sure that they're relevant, and then focus on the conversion side of this. And this, Scott, I think is something that a huge number of people miss out on, because it's too hard if you're launching a million listings to go in and conversion optimize all of those listings. It's too hard if you're chasing the trends to go back and retake your photos or think about a better way to phrase your title or to rewrite that product description, because you have to be in that launch cycle. And this, I think, is where a lot of people get messed up. If you're using that model on Etsy and you're not using the niche-based approach that you and I rant and rave and scream about all of the time, it's a lot harder to think through those processes and to care enough to say, hey, I have a listing problem. I don't have an Etsy ads problem, right? And if we can start thinking about it that way, then we can fix any of those problems. We can start to increase the number of people who click if we're not getting clicks. We can start to increase the number of people who buy when they come to that listing. What does that mean? It means we get more sales. What does that mean? It means we get more sales on the organic side as well. And I think the other thing, Scott, before I get off my high horse about Etsy ads aren't wrong, you're wrong, is the last check in this equation is, okay, yeah, like I'm getting sales, right? I'm getting some people to come in, I'm getting clicks. It's working, but it's not profitable enough. I'm only making $30 or I'm only making $5 on the sale. Okay, that's still not an Etsy ads problem. That's a marketing and creativity problem, right? What is the number one thing that we can do to increase our margins? Well, we can increase our price. That helps. But the easiest thing to do in terms of increasing sales and increasing margins is to sell more to the same customer that we've sold to in the past. And Etsy buyers who have purchased from you in the past are extremely likely to buy from you again and again. Now, with the caveat that you're using that niche-based approach so that when they come to the store, they don't just get bombarded with corn nuts and cornhole. They get to see the dancing avocado merchandise that they're so used to seeing, right? But if we're using that niche-based approach, even if our ads are not rambunctiously, that's the wrong word, right? Wildly profitable up front, we can make them largely profitable on the back end. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, Scott, that people should just light Etsy ads money on fire. I don't think you would agree with that approach either. But I will say, no, you don't have an Etsy ads problem. You have a you problem. When I say you, I don't mean you personally. I mean your store. There's something wrong along the way, which is the reason that your ads are not working. So quite honestly, Scott, anybody that tells me that Etsy ads don't work, I have to start with the premise that they're just missing something. And it's not that you're too silly to understand it. It's not that it doesn't work for your product type. It's just that you might have to think about this a little bit differently. Have you gone through and verified that people are looking for your product? You're not getting any clicks. That's a huge mistake we see people make. We've done a lot of Etsy shop audits, Scott. They say, I'm running ads. I'm not getting any clicks. You look at it, they're getting only a handful of impressions. What does that immediately tell us? No one's looking for that product. Putting $100 or $1 million a day budget on that on Etsy, not going to help us along the way, right? If we know that there's demand and we're not getting the clicks, then we don't have a problem with Etsy ads. We have a problem getting the attention of our buyers. We need to focus on solving that problem. And if we can double down on thinking about the problem that we need to solve, and instead of saying Etsy ads don't work, we change that to say, why don't Etsy ads work for me? It will take our store from struggling to profitable.
Very good. 9 minutes and 42 seconds. All right. That was good. And I think it's really, really clear And Chris, you did bring up, once again, like conversions are probably one of the things that if it's a you problem, it could be you not thinking of the big picture, but it also could be you need to look at your listing. You need to see if it's not converting. You got to ask yourself, are you checking off all the boxes that can help someone convert? And this is another little shameless plug for our conversion maximizer playbook, which we just completed. It's 25 listings that are converting over 3%. And then what we did is we broke them down. It's about 80 pages, and we literally break down and we find common threads or common things that they're doing. And then we also kind of marked them as, bonus things that they're doing that some other ones aren't doing. So we kind of broke it down. If you want a copy of that, just put conversions in the comments. It is $10. Be upfront with you guys, but we paid a designer to go through and actually put it all together for us. It came out really, really good. And it's even more user friendly. And that was the big thing, is to have her make it user friendly. So you had like a scorecard. You can kind of start going through yours and really outlining some areas that can use improvement. So it's really, really helpful. We've been using it. Our conversions are up, which I'm really happy about. And once the conversions go up, that gives me the green light to go ahead and dial up the ad spend maybe a little bit there, so we can start to see if we can increase that. So if you want a copy of that, just put conversions in the comments and we'll send you a link to grab it. All right. So that all being said, we got one more thing that we wanted to talk about here today. Any quick questions though, Chris, before we do that? I'm going to take a sip of water before I load up for this rant that I saw an ad this week, and I said to you, I sent you a screenshot and I was like, what the heck are people doing? What are they doing, Chris? So I have to do this one. I have to.
All right, let me crank through a couple of those while you take yourself a healthy sip of water. Beardo said, should I increase budgets to get sales from ads? Your budget is not going to be your problem in terms of sales. If you're using your budget and you're not getting sales, you, my friend, have a conversion rate problem, right? That is the you problem that I was just ranting and raving about a minute ago. It's not necessarily your fault, but you would be the one that would be responsible for fixing it. If you're not getting clicks and you're not using that budget, pouring more fuel on that fire isn't going to do you any good, right? Scott, I know you're not a fire lighting expert, but if you took that charcoal lighter fluid and you just poured that on a bunch of wood, would that start a fire for you?
It started up, yeah.
Without a match?
Oh, without a match? No, I got to throw a match on it.
You're just taking some sticks and pouring some lighter fluid
on it. I thought you said I had a lighter.
No. So we have to have a little baby fire going before we can pour fuel, which would be adding that budget in, right?
I never did Boy Scouts, Chris.
Yeah, I didn't either. No one trusts me in the woods.
You can tell I'm paying attention.
It's just one of those things where a lot of people think that will solve their problem. And if we think about this as, why don't my ads work, right? And we just walk through that process. Why aren't they working for me? Is no one clicking or is no one buying? That's really the answer to all of these questions. And if no one is clicking, the budget's not going to help. And if no one's buying, the budget's probably not going to help there either. All it's going to help us do is light our shirt on fire a little bit faster. So we need to address the conversion rate problem first. The Encore chapter, Scott, said, ads work. They helped me jumpstart my second and third shop. Encore chapter just over here dominating Etsy, and said, I was breaking even at first, and now I'm really making money because of the organic sales, which is the reason we love the ads, because we get all the data we need to know to say, if we show up for Dancing Avocado Mug, will somebody buy? And instead of letting Etsy wait 6 months to tell us yes or no, we can shortcut that process in a few days or a few weeks. Dan said, if I buy my first sale, will Etsy algorithm push my listings? Do not do this. There is no reason for you to buy your own stuff unless you really like it, but there's no reason to buy that through Etsy. That's not a shortcut to the process. Having your mom do it isn't a shortcut to the process. Nope. All you're doing is something that is at the best very dark gray, and usually against the terms of service, right? Depending on how far of a relation away they are from you. If you want to send something to your mom, just send it right from Printify, or just make her one and send it if you're making it yourself, right? Why do Etsy ads costs vary so much from day to day on the same item? My budget is usually $1.50, and I can get multiple clicks, but I've had days that one click eats up the entire budget. Frustrated emoji. I guess I have to read that for all the people listening on the audio side of this, right? Because it has to do with the way that their bidding system works. So all pay per click, which is what Etsy ads are, ads run on a bidding system. So they look at the budget and they look at the number of people that are willing to spend on that. And they start, let's just say for the sake of argument, they start at a penny. And if there's 100 people and they have the budget, that could go up to $1 or $1.50. Or in some cases, like in the insurance industry, a lot of pay-per-click terms outside of Etsy are like $13 to $50 per click, which is insane when you start to think about conversion rates. But that's the same way that it works on Google, is the same way that it works on Amazon. There's a bidding system, and it has to do with how much budget you have left and how many people are bidding on that term. If everybody else that's bidding on that term is out of budget for the day, that cost is going to be down. If everybody still has budget when that click happens, that cost will go up a little bit. Same thing during Q4. We'll start to see cost per click creep up because everybody wants to be advertising right now because everybody is trying to buy from the buyer side of the site. And so if we think about it that way, it makes logical sense. It will vary from day to day. That, again, Scott, is one of the reasons that I say we probably shouldn't be looking at this stuff on like a daily basis or even a weekly basis in a lot of cases. We want to look at that cost per click over a longer period of time. I would also say if we can inch that budget up even just a little bit, we're going to start to see some more consistency there. So if we can go from $1.50 to $3 or $5, that's going to give us a lot more consistent data.
Cool. All right. If you guys have any other questions, drop them in the queue. We will answer them. I did have one other thing that I needed to address. Like I said in the beginning of this, I'm feeling really fiery today. In a good way, though. Chris and I just want to help people, and we want to help people avoid some of this stuff that's being said out there or just bad advice. So let me go ahead and cue it up here for myself and kind of share what I want to share. And I'm going to be gentle, but I am going to be very, very direct. So I'm going to go ahead and do it now. There are lies and very, very bad advice that is being put out there on the internet. And actually, some are even paying for ads to get it in front of people like you that want to be successful on Etsy. And this actually came to my attention as I was scrolling one day on Instagram, which I don't usually go on Instagram. Just want to let you know, I'm not a social media person really, but I do go on there, I don't know, maybe every 3 days, and I'll go and see if my kids sent me anything funny. It's basically what I do. But then as I was scrolling, I saw an ad pop in, and I know who this person is. I'm not going to call this person out, but basically she was saying, if you are focusing on one niche in your Etsy shop, you're going to fail. It's the wrong way to do it. And I was like, this person is paying an ad to get in front of more people. And the reason why this person is doing this is because they also sell a very expensive course and they want to start getting people in their marketing funnel. I know all about that. I've been in this world for a long time as far as the marketing world, and I understand how it works. So I understand what they're doing. The problem that I have with it is that the direction that you're leading someone to, or the path that you're putting someone on, is pretty much going to be a very, very risky and probably going to end in failure. And here's why. Let me explain why. If you are starting a business, I don't care if it's on Etsy, I don't care if it's on Amazon, I don't care if it's on Shopify. If you're starting a business in general and you cannot sell someone more than one product or have someone come back to buy more in the future, it is going to be almost impossible for you to withstand that. Okay? For you to be able to make it work. Because what's going to happen is you're just going to be constantly trying to find new customers, right? It's like every single time that you want to grow your business, you just got to go find new people, right? New people. And so don't focus on a niche, just focus on a trend, right? Maybe it's something that's coming out, and sometimes, and I don't know if this person's doing it, but I've seen it where they'll tell people to go after like popular movies or, popular shows or something that's trending, or Taylor Swift and her tour that she's doing. Like, you see it all over the place. No, Like, we don't want to do that. Now, I'm not going to go down that road, but I am going to go down the road of why I think it's really, really bad advice to give someone to say, don't focus on one niche. You want to be able to go after all the niches that you want to go after because it's going to give you more reach to the entire world. The problem with that is you cannot build a business doing that. At least I don't think you can. All right. And I haven't seen anybody successful really doing that other than if you have a shop along the boardwalk near a beach and you're a t-shirt shop. Yeah, you're going to have people come in there and you got a steady flow of traffic. You're going to be selling stuff. I get that. That's not what we're doing here on Etsy. People on Etsy are looking for gifts. Usually they're looking for personalization. They're looking for all of that stuff, right? They also are wanting to come back to people that they know, like, and trust, right? Josh Silverman just came out with his making Etsy human again, right? It's where now all of a sudden, he didn't say Etsy, he said commerce, basically, where now it's like, we want to be human again. We want to create not handmade, but kind of handmade still like we used to, because that's what we want our look and feel and our customers to feel like. But all you're going to do is sell one-off items. Here's why that's a bad idea. If I'm spending money, okay, which a lot of people, and that's another thing, right? This person may or may not, I don't know. I didn't go through their training, but it's like, oh, you don't have to spend any money to get started. That's not true. If you want to actually compete in the Etsy ecosystem, right, in that marketplace, you are going to have to spend some upfront Etsy ad money, in my opinion, or you're going to have to build an email list so you can get traffic there. You're going to have to spend a little bit of money. Now, I don't mean it has to be thousands. It could be a few $100s. Okay. But you are going to have to spend some money to get visibility. The days of you just launching products and getting visibility, they're pretty much not going to be there. Okay. Yeah. You can put up a product and you can wait 6 months and it might start getting shown because Etsy's going to test it in various areas. They might. But in order to get traction, you got to get sales. The algorithm is basically being driven by sales. Okay. So we have to do that. If we want to get more sales, we also want to be able to have repeat customers of people so that are coming through that are looking for a certain thing. So if we are catering to people that are having a baby, right? And now we can market to the mom. We can also market to people that are going to be buying gifts for people that are having a baby shower, right? And then the nursery and all of those different components. Etsy just rolled out their little bundle feature now where you can add up to 3 products. Okay. So you're adding these products to bundle. Why are we doing that? Because Etsy wants you to build a brand. That's words out of their mouth. Okay. You don't build a brand in random niches that's just all over the place, unless you're just going to be like everyone else. You're just a gift shop, right? Like, how many gift shops can we have? Okay. So when we focus on one niche, we're able to now, number one, focus on creating products for that one person, that one type of person. Once we get that one sale, or they get someone to come in to buy something, now we're able to also show them more things as they come into our shop. Or if they come into a listing, now if we turn on our bundle feature, they're going to say, oh, this product goes with this product. Maybe I want to add that. All you got to do is just check a box, add it to your order. Okay, that's it. So now we're able to increase the order size. Wouldn't you rather sell more to one customer than to have to go find 5 more customers? I would. Let me know in the comments. Would you rather have one customer that you could sell to now, maybe 3 products, and then sell something in 6 months and 12 months, in a year and a half? Like, wouldn't you rather do that? Let me know in the comments. Okay. Because that's how you build a real business. And a lot of these Etsy gurus out there, some are good, but some are just giving bad advice. They have not built an e-commerce business. They don't understand what it is to build an e-commerce business. I've built several. I've sold one. So I understand what it takes. If you ever watch Shark Tank, what do they always say? What's your cost to acquire a customer? That's what they want to know, because they know you have to usually spend money to acquire the customer. And then once you have the customer, now you can sell them more things. Okay. So I just wanted to do this video today to, number one, bring light to this, because if you're new on Etsy, or even an Etsy seller that's been doing it, but just been led down that road, the reason why you're probably not succeeding is because you're going after too many niches and you're just trying to chase trends. To date, right now, we've done 30 Etsy shop audits where we've helped these 30 sellers. And I would say at least half of those were focusing all over the place with different niches. And we were able to drill in and find niches that they could go into and sub niches that they can also build off of, because it's so important to be able to do that. All right. And everything aligns. Another thing that we do is we build an email list. Okay. And you're probably wondering, well, Scott, you can't do that. I mean, Etsy says you can't. You can. You just have to get permission from the person. So when you now sell something to that person, you have a welcome message and a confirmation message that goes out. In that message, you would invite them to join your VIP club. And then you would then send a link to that person, or they would go through that link and then they would sign up. You can set this all up in Everbee email, by the way. If you want to go check that out, you can go to brandcreators.com/Everbee. All right. Go there, get set up, create one of those pages where you can collect the email address, and then you would just use that in your message that you reach out to people when they buy from you. And then you invite them. And then as long as they put their name and email address in there and hit yes, they've raised their hand and said, yes, you can send me stuff. And we've done over $10,000 in email sales, by the way, since they rolled out the share and save link, which is why I know that they want us to send email. They want us to send our own traffic. Okay. Because they rolled that feature out as well. Why? Because they want us to keep getting people back to the platform so we can sell them more about what they came in on. All right. So, when people are advertising and this person is paying probably $1,000 plus a month to reach people and to get this message in front of people, it just, it gets under my skin, because it's leading people down the wrong road, and the road is to failure. And I just wanted to share this today with you to hopefully help you. We do have a guide that walks you through our methodology on how we build a brand. I call it the 100K roadmap. It's the one that my wife and I have used, and we kind of reverse engineered what we did on Etsy. If you want that, just put 100K in the comments and we'll send you a copy. And it talks about finding your niche and then building off of your niche, and then building it for, repeat sales, email lists, like all of that stuff is included. So if you want that, just put 100K in the comments and we'll send you a copy of that. But I really, really just wanted to get this out there, and I really, really want you to win at this Etsy game, because it is pretty awesome. It's pretty cool, but there's also a lot of information out there that is just leading people down the wrong road. And I wanted to try to help you with that and help you avoid that road that's probably going to lead to failure. All right, Chris, I need another drink of water.
Would you say, Scott, that really grinds your gears?
It did. It grinded my gears. I can't believe that someone's paying money to get that out in front of people.
Well, I think the reason for that is that approach seems a lot easier, right? If you're just saying, hey, you can just launch whatever you want, just follow the tree, just do it, man. Then it feels a lot easier. It feels like there's more creativity. It feels like there's more opportunity, as opposed to saying, think about what you actually like to create for and create for those people, right? Like, no, that's work. I don't have to just look at exactly what's selling now and copy it and then hope that I rank, right? That can work for a very short period of time. Mm-hmm. That will not work long-term with ads. That will not work long-term with any of the stuff that we're talking about. And if you don't want to have a business that goes like this, right? Like the worm is a fun dance if you can do it, but it's not the way that you want your business sales graph to look, right? If you want more consistency, the niche-based approach is the only thing that makes sense. How do we know that? One, it works everywhere, regardless of the marketplace. Two, it's literally the direction that Etsy themselves is telling sellers to move in. And three, Etsy buyers are telling us that too. They want to be able to come back and buy again and again from the same shop. And if you're trying to be everything to everybody, that's just not going to work, right? You cannot be everything to everybody all the time, unless you have some sort of time machine, right? What was that time movie that came out, Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? You can't do that. So pick one niche and focus on it. And guess what? Not only will your life be a heck of a lot easier, you'll see more sales, and you'll have a much more stable business that you can take outside of the Etsy platform. That I think is the biggest thing that grinds my gears about that whole thing, is if you have an everything for everybody shop, it's all but impossible to take that outside of a platform and have it be something that's stable. God forbid something happens to that Etsy store. you're kind of SOL because you don't know what to do. Now,
Yeah.
the immediate response we're going to get in the comments to that is, what about Amazon? Amazon didn't start out selling everything. I hate to break it to you. Amazon started as a bookstore, right? And so they started building up things niche by niche. They still don't sell everything on Amazon, but also Amazon is not the person that's doing the selling in the vast majority of cases. Yes, they have their own brands now and they're doing some of those kinds of things, but the vast majority of things that are being sold on Amazon are sold the exact same way that we sell stuff on Etsy. They're sold by third-party people, not Amazon themselves. And so if you're looking at that as an example, one, if you have Jeff Bezos money, go for it, right? Like you have that determination, you're willing to lose money for 20 plus years to be able to do that, go for it. If you want to build a long-term sustainable business that you know is going to work for you again and again and again, and something that has portability and stability, the niche-based approach is the only way that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's bang through some of these questions here, and then let's wrap it on up and get on with it. Edwin here, how about products that sell organically but not with ads? Why not run ads on them? Right? Like, I think if you're getting ads or if you're getting sales organically and it's a product that's got good demand, why not get that thing more exposure?
Yeah, and the other way to read that question from Susanna is, I'm getting clicks from ads, but not sales from ads. That's probably a keyword issue, which tells me you're also underperforming on the organic side, right? This comes back to the data. If you're selling on organic, I'm willing to bet it's not the same keywords you're getting the clicks on from the ads. If it was, it would be the same traffic, right?
What about this one here, Chris? Competitors using up the ad budget? Yeah, no.
That's been that probably happened one time way back in the day with Google AdSense, right? Where somebody went in and they just clicked on all their competitors' ads. Yeah. It's not a thing we have to really worry about it. Could there be some random place in India that has a farm of people clicking on your ads? Yes. Could somebody have built a robot? Yes. Etsy has a lot of things in place to make sure they're not coming from the same IP, that they're not coming from the same account, right? Yeah. They're not going to triple count if somebody clicks and it doesn't load and then they click it again. You don't get charged 4 times for that. There's a lot of things that are in place. It's a rumor that's been floating around since the earliest pay-per-click platforms. And it's one of those things that falls into it's probably a you problem, not an external problem. But it's easier to say my competitors are eating up all my budget by just clicking on my things than it is to say I might have a conversion rate problem.
Yeah. Sweden says, my conversion rate went way down since I started posting to Pinterest. I get a lot of traffic from there, but it does not seem to convert as well. So I'm finally looking into ads. Yeah. And that's an important thing, right? Like people think, well, I'm going to drive traffic from Facebook and I'm going to pay for Facebook ads and I'm getting really cheap clicks, but the conversions aren't there. That's because number one on Pinterest, yeah, they might not be there looking to buy right now. Now, is that as long as your pin that's on Pinterest is qualifying them, then it could be okay. But what I would rather do than sending them directly over to your Etsy shop is to give them a 20% off discount and drive them to your landing page and then collect the email address. That's what I would do, Sweden. So if you have that and you have the link that you're directing people to your listing or to your shop, you want to basically have on there, get 20% off and then let them click that and then take them over to the landing page. You can build that rate in Everbee email as well. brandcreators.com/Everbee. If you have not yet signed up, definitely look into that for doing your email marketing. So that's what I would say there. Let's see. I listed a sweatshirt 3 weeks ago from ads. I have 14 orders till now. I left only the specific keywords for that listing. Love Etsy ads and how many things you can check and see. Awesome. Let's see here. Guys, what do you think? How to get our customers' email while we are chatting on Etsy message thread? Sending a link is prohibited. Yes, there is no way to do it. The only way that you can basically somewhat do it is you could probably just say like in there, hey, or check your message from when I send you the product with more information or something, right? Yeah. Like you can just give them a heads up that there's a message going to be coming after they purchase. Cause I'm assuming that if you're talking to someone, it might be pre-sale. If it's pre-sale, then, I mean, the only other thing you could do, which I don't think they would have a problem, is if you wanted to offer them a discount. So if you said to them, hey, thanks so much. And hey, we really like to, reward our first time, customers. If you want, we have a coupon out there that's 20% off. If you want, I can send you a link. Do you want me to? And then basically they say yes, you send them a link over to get the discount code. I don't think that would be a problem.
I think the cleaner way of doing that, even than like trying to get a link in there after they ask for it, would just be saying, hey, if you're on the fence about this, we do have 25% off for first-time customers. Go check out our VIP club. If you go to the store, you'll see the link right there.
Yeah, that's
right.
good.
And then they're staying in the Etsy ecosystem.
Yep.
You're not driving them off site. Again, Etsy's not going to care because they're coming back to Etsy, but that to me would be the cleanest way of doing it. And then if they want to go check it out, they can. It's already something that's on Etsy, so it's fine. Marlena said, I keep seeing Etsy gurus saying to run ads, and she meant promos, constantly to compete with other sellers. I thought that practice is prohibited by the FTC. Is that accurate? Should you be running constant promos? The FTC, like most things, is fairly gray on this, but there's no reason to be doing it. They do have a guideline about real pricing. And if you're constantly on sale, right, you're always a $200 value for $5 and you don't have it selling for $200 somewhere else, that's what can get you into trouble. The way that you typically would see us talking about promos is we will do a launch promo, which steps down in terms of the discount. So I guess it steps up in price, right? It goes from the most discounted to the standard sales price. And so that's what we do. And then if you're putting it on sale every week or so, that's fine, as long as it's not the same thing always at that discounted price. Right. And so if you rotate through categories, you have seasonal items, or you're just doing that for new items, that's okay. There's no like hard and fast rule that it's 4 days and then it has to be at regular price again. You just don't want to leave it on sale forever. Doll says, how many sales can you make? Sales last month sometimes. What do you mean you can't have continuous sales? So I think she's also talking about promos here. And so when we're talking about promos, you would only typically be running one at once, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're doing something like having a store-wide sale and then you have some of those new bundle listings set up. And that I think would be the thing, but I guess technically that's a separate product. I was going to say that might be a thing that would get people caught up with the FTC thing, but it's only if you buy them both together, which would be fine because it's a bundle at that point. So it's not really a problem either. But again, if you're running promotions, we love promotions. There's no reason to just turn it on at 50% and set it to run until next December. That's just silly. If you're doing that, you're leaving a lot of money on the table and you're potentially stepping on your own toe with somebody like the FTC. Yeah,
for sure. All right, cool. I think that wraps up our little live stream here today. And I think we answered a bunch of really great questions. So I will remind you guys, if you would like our conversion maximizer playbook, just put conversions in the comments and we will send you a link. There is a cost to it. It's $10. All right. We paid a designer to help us make it more user-friendly. It's about 80 pages and it's really good resource. We actually had it for ourselves and then we decided to make it nicer so other people can use it. And if you'd like a copy of that, just put the conversions in the comments and we'll send you the link to grab a copy of that. All right. So a lot we covered there today, but I mean, honestly, this is really about business 101. And I said this to my wife the other day. I'm like, I think people just need to sit through an hour training with Chris and I, and we'll share like the high level of like what a business is, what a business takes or needs that's going to allow it to be successful or have the best chance of being successful. And all of these components that we're talking about, it's like when you're talking about Etsy ads, we're talking about traffic. It's a traffic source, right? We're talking about the algorithm. That's a traffic source. We're talking about email. That's a traffic source. So we have to think about getting traffic over to our products that hopefully in the beginning, when we came up with our business plan, we were targeting a niche to build our brand in, because now we're going to have products for that one person to buy over and over and over again. Right. So it comes down to one, figuring out your audience or your niche. Okay. To build your brand around with a bunch of products that they could potentially buy. And then from there, we got to get traffic. We do that. Yes. Organically, SEO, algorithm, Etsy ads, email, that type of stuff. And then we try to find ways to create new products to sell to them again. And we're always still getting new customers in the door. Right? That's how it works. It's literally that simple, but yet there are some nuances there. And that's why we wanted to do this here today. just on the Etsy ad side, but we'll be doing more of this. And let us know in the comments. Do you want us to continually do these types of bigger picture of the business and how it works and how to be successful building a brand and not just one-off products? Let us know in the comments. All right, guys, that is it. That is going to wrap it up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. Just about 150 of you were on with us, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. We are rooting for you. It is Q4. We're going to start dialing it up here because we're getting into the heat of it, and it's pretty exciting. So, guys, thank you so much. Take care. Take action. Have an awesome, amazing day, and we'll see you right back here in the next episode. Take care, guys.